What is up, Dodgers Nation? Welcome to the Dodgers Nation Postgame Show, the #1 Dodgers Postgame Show on YouTube. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. Cover the Dodgers for Dodgers Nation. And of course, behind me, this is not a green screen. That is Dodger Stadium, where the Dodgers just won another game, their third in a row, a game away from sweeping the Reds. The Padres were able to win tonight against the Mariners, so LA still remains one game up in the division with the tiebreaker, of course. Think of that as 2 games, but the Dodgers stringing together wins. They now improved to 76-57. LA wins 6-3. They out-hit the Reds 10-7. They get 1 in the first. They get 1 in the fourth. They get 4 in the sixth. We're going to talk about an Alex Call injury, an Alex Vesia injury, and a Dodgers team that's starting to look like they are clicking. Pitching, defense, offense, it's all starting to come together. And here to break it down with me, your favorite NBC LA zone, the great Michael Duarte. Privileged to call this guy a friend. You know you love him. And look, today he's got a shirt underneath his shirt. Doesn't have the unbuttoned look. He's going to save that for the OF, right? But Michael, looks like this Dodgers team is starting to have some consistent success. What's just your first reaction to this win tonight, though?
41st comeback win of the season. That's the most in Major League Baseball. That's always a good sign, even though it was just an early 1-run lead that they came back from. But I do feel like finally a little bit, it feels like they're clicking on all cylinders. What's that, 3 straight games with 6 or more runs? So, I mean, that's a good sign. The offense seems to be clicking a little bit, doing a little better. Bullpen had a pretty good game today. But the starting pitching is what the Dodgers, as I've told you on this show several times, hang their hat on, especially with a full and healthy rotation. And it all starts with the GOAT, right? Clayton Kershaw, a perfect 5-0 with a 1.88 ERA in the month of August. That is the most wins by any other pitcher in the National League, and I believe the 3rd best ERA by any pitcher in the National League over that time. So in Clayton Kershaw we trust. He came out here, gave us 5 strong innings, and it just seems like the starting rotation just keeps passing the baton on the next day. And as long as they're not the ones making defensive mistakes like we saw Elly De La Cruz do yesterday and a couple of Reds do today, just play clean baseball. Simple fundamentals. This team starts to go a little better. And there is a guy out there, Michael Conforto, who seems to be playing for a job at this point and his spot on the roster. Alex Call with an injury today in his lower back. Maybe that means Michael Conforto bought himself another week or 2. We'll see. But that's something that we probably should be talking about, that Alex Call injury maybe.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. But I think the big story in this game, it does start with Clayton Kershaw. And it's just those little things that he doesn't do that allows him to still give this team quality innings and help them win games, even when he doesn't have his best stuff. He sounded after the game like he did not feel like he had his best slider or fastball.
Yeah, slider wasn't working as well.
Slider wasn't, but I did like the fact that you saw him pivot, and he was going with that elevated fastball. It was good for a couple strikeouts. He had a really nice strikeout, struck out Elly De La Cruz with that nasty curveball, struck out Steer in the 3rd with that splitter down in the zone. So what's great about Kersh that you notice about him is he can make in-game adjustments, and he knows what's working for him early in starts, and he can limit the damage. 6 strikeouts tonight, 0 walks. It's the walks that will come back to kill you. And most of the damage, I mean, it happened in that first inning. Leadoff double to Steer, and then he struck out Marte, De La Cruz single, then Andujar, he ground out to 3rd for the first run, then he gets Hayes to line out. So a lot of pitches we've seen this season, that first inning woe can get you, and it's the difference between 1 run versus 2 runs versus 3 runs, and then he settled down. He retired the last 14 hitters that he faced in this one. I think he would have liked to give them a little more length. Set up the bullpen with Henriquez, and then Henriquez comes in, and he's an interesting case for sure just because you see the power stuff, but it seems like every single appearance he's given up a couple hits and kind of having a tightrope act, but he's still getting out of it. But I think Clayton Kershaw really was the star of this game just because this team is getting consistent starting pitching, and it's setting the tone. I don't care what anyone says, it's, hey, when he's on the mound, you're getting consistent effort from the rest of the group. So I thought that tonight wasn't elite vintage Kersh, but against a Reds team that is fighting for the postseason, trying to score a lot of runs against them, I think that he kept them at bay and he let this offense, like you said, score some runs. And I think it's funny, Michael, in Friday and Saturday in San Diego, felt like every media member was, trying to push this point to me nationally, right? Like, oh, the Dodgers, they're too home run reliant, that if they don't slug, they're not going to win games. Do they need to have more of a two-strike approach? They need to kind of shorten their swinging spots. What happened in the last 3 games? Slug, 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 home runs, home runs, home runs, and they're winning baseball games. So it kind of makes you think that this team kind of is who they are from an identity standpoint. But I think at the end of the day, there's an adjustment to be made.
When it comes to the postseason, though, you're not going to be able to score 6 runs every game. That's just not the way it works. And look, I thought the Dodgers offense last postseason was maybe the best offense you'll see in a postseason run. You know what I mean? Because usually those games are a lot tighter, 1 run, 2 runs. So it's the slug's not always going to be there. The extra base hit's not going to be there. The home runs are not always going to be there. You have to find a way to manufacture runs. And the why this was a topic in those first 2 games in San Diego was because the Padres played small ball in both those victories Friday or Saturday to manufacture runs. They bunted. They had situational hitting, sac flies, hit it to the right side, move a guy over. That's things that the Dodgers need to be able to do. I'm going to look at Kike Hernandez, right? This is a guy that hasn't played in over a month. Thought his season was over with an ailing elbow, had to get 4 different shots. A second cortisone shot in the elbow finally made him pain-free and avoid being on the surgery table. Comes back, does a couple rehab starts. He was atrocious, by the way, before he went on the IL. Was batting under 100. That's just awful. First game today, 2 for 3, 2 hits, and one thing that we won't talk about in the stat line, a sac fly that scored an extra run in there. That's the situational hitting we're kind of talking about, right? How many times have we seen Michael Conforto in that spot with a chance to knock in a run? All you need to do is put the ball into the outfield and they strike out, or they ground the ball back to the pitcher or something. Being able to get the ball in the air, knowing the situation, knowing how to get another run across, every run counts. That's what you like to see. That's what was good to see from Kike Hernandez back on the team today. And my guess is starting in left field tomorrow, because I don't see how any way Alex Call with his back injury is going to be out there.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. I mean, Alex Call, we'll get there, but yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Like, I mean, you do definitely need different ways to manufacture runs. Like, there's no doubt about that. I think when this lineup, though, when they're whole, when you have Max Muncy and you have Tommy Edman in the lineup, you have hitters that are naturally not going to go up there and chase slug. And I think that tends to be the issue for this team, is they struggle in games where there's just no slug and guys are kind of not working counts and seeing 4 or 5 pitches per at bat. But I think you also have to recognize too, though, that in the big moments last year, the big moments came via slug, right? I mean, Game 5 of the NLDS, you had the 2 home runs. In the World Series, you had the walk-off grand slam. In Game 5, you had double by Freddie, double by Teoscar. So I think I'm just trying to make the point that it's really important to remember that, yeah, I mean, if you have Luis Arraez, right, then fine, like, don't slug as much, right? But when you have Freddie and Teo and Smitty, who hit a home run opposite field today, which I think is a good sign because he's been struggling, this team is just going to have some ebbs and flows. And yes, there's a lot of people that want to see this team win 115, 120 games. Had their rotation been fully healthy at the beginning of the season, had they not lost Max Muncy and Kike and Edman and they were fully healthy and Moogie didn't slump, yeah, there's a universe where they could have, at the very least, had 100 wins, and that would have still been with the style of their offense. So, I mean, I just think that, Kersh said, going back to Kersh, he said after his start a couple weeks ago that this team's fine, and they understand the ebbs and flows of a pennant race. And I think if you're a Padres team, that, yeah, you've had guys make some deep postseason runs, but you don't know how to plan the trajectory like this Dodgers team's had. Because look at all the World Series rings in that dugout, right? You don't see that in San Diego. You don't see that with a lot of other teams. So I do think that you kind of have to, for all this hoopla about how this team has been struggling of late, it doesn't surprise me that Kike comes back, gets a couple hits, had a little defensive, I wouldn't say I'd call it a bad throw, but still getting used to third base. Nice dig there by Freddie Freeman. But I think that if you're the Dodgers, you're now a half game back of the Phillies for the second best record in the National League. I want
to talk about that, yeah.
You're not going to catch the Brewers, right? But if you secure that bye, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Brewers lose in the NLDS, right? You have the Miz, and then you are once again, I think, in the driver's seat, and all things are starting to line up for this team to be peaking at the right time. And that's what you want to see. You mentioned something about Kersh in the first round. I want to get to some sound from Kersh. Do you feel like he wouldn't be on the NLDS roster?
Yeah, we're going to get into that. Speaking of rings, Kersh has 2 rings. This team behind us all has a ring. Taylor Swift also now has a ring, Doug. I'm surprised, you were crying earlier today in the press box finding out she was off the market, even though I think that proposal was a couple weeks ago. But I want to talk about Taylor Swift engagement to Travis Kelce for this meme only that I saw today on social media. See if you guys can see that on the camera.
There you go.
That's Dave Roberts starting Michael Conforto against right-handed pitching every single day, despite the fact that the guy's batting a .180 through 133 games now on the season. And it doesn't seem like no matter what happens, he's out there. And look, as long as he had a productive night last night, another productive night tonight, and it keeps buying him time, and now Alex Call, like we said, that might buy him some more time, because we thought Kike coming back would, mean, okay, you don't need to necessarily start Michael Conforto all the time. You can start Kike out and left, and we'll see what happens, because I think Haesung Kim is next to come back now. I think Max Muncy will be right behind him, and then followed later by Tommy Edman. And I get into all of this, Doug, because it's not so much a matter of peaking at the right time. Obviously, you want to be. That's the secret sauce to try to do that going into October. But for the Dodgers and for the front office, they just want to be healthy at the right time. And it seems like, knock on wood here, and obviously Alex Vesia, had a minor oblique injury that I'm sure you'll talk about because you and I talked to him in the locker room tonight. But it seems like this team is getting all of their tools back, right? If you're a golfer, every single club will be in the bag as you head into this final sprint down the stretch, heading into September and October. And to me, that's the most important thing, right? Having every player unleashed that you can. Looking at this roster the way it was constructed on paper back in February, now getting to see them entirely healthy and being able to see what they can do in the postseason. And hopefully with a few weeks for guys like Edman and Muncy to ramp up, guys like Michael Kopech as well, creating a conversation that you and I have been having in the press box for the last several weeks, I guess, which is, what would your starting rotation in the postseason be? I just said Clayton Kershaw, arguably the best pitcher in the National League in the month of August. A generational pitcher who can do it, but he's out there throwing 89 miles per hour on his fastball. He's like Greg Maddux out there, the way he's able to dot corners and still have success at his age. Whereas you guys like Tyler Glasnow with swing and miss stuff. Blake Snell has looked great. He's probably going to be peaking right about the right time. Shohei Ohtani has some of the nastiest stuff in the game, but he hasn't gone more than 4 or 5 innings so far this season. Emmet Sheehan just threw 7 shutout innings on this very field behind us last night. If you do get the bye, like you said, and like we said, they're creeping up on Philly. The Mets are helping out. It's another funny thing we can talk about. The Reds were 1 game out of a playoff spot entering this series. They're now 3 games out of a playoff spot and looking like they're falling further and further out of the playoff race, the wild card race. But who would the Dodgers start if it was a 3-game wild card series, or you get the bye and it's a 5-game NLDS series? You only need 4 pitchers. Shohei doesn't count as a pitcher on your spot. Someone's going to have to go in the pen. You might not even want him in the pen in a short series like an NLDS. Maybe they're on the taxi squad. I think it's Kershaw and Sheehan. One of them goes in the pen, and one of them goes on the taxi squad. I don't know what you think, but that's kind of what I think. I think you go Snell, Yamamoto, Glasnow, Ohtani in the NLDS.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely cross that bridge when we get there. I think that you still have to have that conversation in a month. We've seen how quickly their starting pitching can get derailed.
Correct.
I don't think Kersh would have an issue if they felt like he would be off, but I think you have to consider, too, that Shohei Ohtani doesn't count against that. So you're basically having that bonus. But, I mean, someone like, for example, like an Edgardo Henriquez, right? I mean, he's someone that he has not allowed an earned run, and yeah, Michael Kopech coming back. And we're going to talk about this Alex Vesia injury. The NLDS, there's a world where it can be a matchups game in the 5, 6, 7, 8th, 9th inning. And when you have a matchups game, you want guys that are tried and true relievers in that spot. And if you have your 4 horses all lined up and ready to go with Glasnow, Yamamoto, Blake Snell, and Shohei Ohtani, yeah, there is a world where, yeah, you could sit down Clayton Kershaw. You can say, hey, we're going to load up with relievers, and we're going to keep you, like you said, taxi squad, and keep you kind of on ice as a possibility. But then also, you still need, if you want to call it a mop-up guy, even if it is the DS, right? You need a guy that can go multiple innings or make another start. The issue with Kersh would be, let's say you're going to games 4 and 5, and you've got that stable. Remember, there's a day off between games 1 and game 2, so you can still line up your rotation with 3 guys in the NLDS if you want to go that route. And I think the conversation then becomes, yeah, even though he has been very effective, yeah, even though he has posted, like you said, a 188 ERA this month, and I think that he's trending upward at the right time. He's gotten better with each and every month this season. Conversation becomes postseason stuff. His versus Glasnow, his versus Snell, his versus Yamamoto, his versus Shohei. It's tough to make the argument that you'd rather have him versus those guys versus, I think, just having him as a luxury, as depth, and not putting him in a situation where he might be set up to fail. But let's hear from Kersh, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about the Alex Call injury, if it's something, nothing, or everything. I don't know, Michael, you speak fluent Dave Roberts. We're going to get your take on his feeling for that, because it could be one of those things where you wake up the next day and it's a whole different thing. So I want to get your take on that. But here, listen to Kersh after the game here. This is moments ago in the Dodgers clubhouse. We're going to get to all of your comments as well. I know you guys want to comment on the great Michael Duarte.
Comment on where's the vest? Where's the vest?
There's no vest. I gotta get a new. It started to smell.
Feel like a fish out of water.
It started to smell. By the way, I love that you brought up. Usually, I'm the person who's the first to bring up like pop culture. So you beat me to it, and I respect you for that. What we've been saying on the show today is that Taylor Swift got a ring before the San Diego Padres, which is always a fun thing. And I gotta say, man, that's gonna be the best contract for Travis Kelce. I mean, congratulations. Or you know what? I think that gold digger is trying to get his podcast money. You know what I mean? What do you think?
I think if Travis Kelce thought that his contract was long that he had to read through before he signed, the prenup he's about to get
that prenup's got to be
the longest thing he's ever had to read through in his life.
That's gonna be thick. That's gonna be a thick prenup. But here's Clayton Kershaw moments ago from the Dodgers clubhouse.
And just how did you find after that first inning? Obviously, they got you with the double early and came around to score. How did you find kind of just settling in and being so efficient after that?
Yeah, it wasn't a great night stuff-wise. I didn't have a lot of stuff. Didn't have a lot of life on the fastball or really anything. So, Will did a good job. He kind of flipped the script and just started kind of throwing a lot of different stuff, trying to be creative, keep him off balance because it wasn't coming out tonight so good. So, fortunate to make it through 5, and it's obviously not as deep as you want to get, but thankfully with Shea last night, our bullpen was fresh, and we have the off day on Thursday, so it kind of worked out for us, and bullpen did a great job and got the win.
Did you feel though, just that, I mean, considering getting through 5, pitch count was still in a pretty good spot, were you kind of surprised, I guess, after like only getting through 5, or did you feel like you could have gone more tonight, or was it more just kind of how the stuff was playing for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was pretty evident that it wasn't going to be a long night for me, and Doc recognized that and made the right call for sure.
Was it the sort of shift in the middle of an outing like that, sort of shift off the game plan and sort of understand and react to what your stuff's able to do?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty obvious to me after the first batter. My slider wasn't great, so I just didn't feel like I had the arm speed to throw it well. So just tried to go to the arm side a little bit more, try to throw some more changeups, curveballs. And Will did a good job. Will kind of guided me through that and picked the right spots to throw different pitches, mix in as many fastballs as we needed to. And it worked out through 5. I don't know how much longer it would have worked out, but it worked out through 5.
A 188 ERA this month and 5 starts. Does it feel like you're getting better month to month, and just kind of what's been the key to your success this month?
Yeah, it was a good August. I don't know. Physically everything feels good. I think everything changes from start to start sometimes, but overall it was great, and the team got a lot of wins, which was great, and fun to be a part of it at this time of year.
All right, thanks.
There he is, Clayton Kershaw after his start. Let's get into some comments, though. We got Kungoto. That's from Jose Aguirre. I don't know about that. We'll talk some. This will be a perfect lead into Michael Conforto, who I just want to point out. You look at Sunday, the Dalton rushing home run. How was that set up? Michael Conforto walk. Yesterday, you had doubles setting up the Pajes home run. Today, he singled. So I'm not saying that they're not going to ultimately decide to move on from Michael Conforto, but something that might have thrown a wrench in that was today, Alex Call, who left the game after a Miguel Rojas double. And it was a big inning for the Dodgers, and Rojas, credit to him for getting that slug. Alex Call hustling down around the bases, trying to score on that. By the way, Marte made a terrible read on that ball. He had never played center field, rare for him, but happened in the
Took
sixth.
his hat off that ball.
He did. It went off the wall. And in the sixth inning, Rojas.
I'm reading your guys' comments here if you're looking while I'm staring on
Yeah.
the
No,
we'll read some of these comments.
We'll go full-blown comment.
I like that the Padres have less strings than Taylor, too. So do the Mariners, who've never been in the World Series. That's what's going on right now in Seattle as we're rooting for the Mariners this week. Couple things to go about Alex Call, because we want to get into Alex Call, like you said. Alex Call was a guy who, I don't know, weeks ago on the show, after we first acquired him, he was a guy that when he's right, and he will even admit that he didn't feel 100% comfortable and confident after being traded here. You know, all these new faces to learn, new players, new pitchers, things like that. He wasn't, but something he said clicked for him in that series at Coors Field in Colorado. He started to feel more comfortable, more confident at the plate. This was a guy that like never strikes out. One of the least amount of strikeout rates in all of Major League Baseball, is like less than 17% or something like that. And then suddenly he came up to the Dodgers after that trade and was striking out left and right. So he wasn't right then. It seemed like we're getting his confidence back. I know they don't want to play him against right-handed pitching, but he's batting like something like 256 against righties this year. He had a much better average with better stats than Conforto did against right-hand pitching, who's the guy you insert in there. Obviously, he comes in once a lefty took over in relief on the mound and was supposed to take over left field. Maybe a little confusion, as you said, on that ball hit the wall that Marte should have caught, didn't caught. He has to turn around, come back. He scores, tweaked his lower back, is what Dave Roberts said happened. Pulled something in his lower back. Now, according to Dave, and you're going to hear the quote here in a second, I believe, Dave said that Alex Call told him, "I've played through worse," and that he still wants to start him tomorrow on Wednesday, on Ohtani Day, in left field. I don't think there's a chance in hell Alex Call is starting in left field tomorrow. I think there's a better chance he goes on the IL, even if he's played through worse than anything else, especially with Hae-Sung Kim needing to come up, Muncy behind him. Conforto, I think, is ready to come back tomorrow, though I doubt they'll activate him until September when the rosters expand. So there's a lot of, things they need to happen. But when it comes to the back, as we know with Kershaw all those years, as we know because this guy covers the rant with you.
No, my personal back.
Well, that's a little different situation. You had a much bigger issue than tweaking your back running from second to home base. But look, Matthew Stafford has been dealing with a herniated disc in his back all offseason. It's been the talk of the NFL. That's a fancy way to say herniated, though. But he missed a lot of time. He's now back practicing. So the backs, you never know. They can linger. They can take a while. My guess is we don't see Alex Call tomorrow, and it may be a little while now. With heat and treatment, he can come back a little bit. I don't know. If they want to give him a 10-day IL stint, great. If not, I'm sure he's going to want to push through because he's fighting for playing time and fighting for a job. But, I don't think we see Alex Call in there tomorrow. My guess is Kike's in left field starting tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he wakes up. I mean, we asked Dave Roberts about it. He did say, like you pointed out, that he told them that he's dealt with worse and he does want to play him. But, I mean, it is a little bit of an earlier game, a 5:40 start versus a 7:10 start. I think for Alex Call, this is really important for him because he's someone that, yes, he has shown flashes, but he's not solidified his spot for this 26-man postseason roster, just for his role moving forward. And you look at what Alex Call does good. And what he does good is he sees a lot of pitches. He grinds out at bats. Like you point out, a 16.1% strikeout rate. That's above league average significantly, does not whiff. But other than that, like he doesn't hit the ball hard. He doesn't barrel up pitches. He's a slightly above average defender. Where he's good at is hitting against left-handed pitchers, right? A 314 batting average against lefties, the OPS in the 800s. He's not a guy that you would want to start against righties, but I do think that the perfect role for him is when everyone gets healthy is he's your fourth outfielder. He's someone that if you do need him as a late game defensive substitution, he's someone that has a bat that you can actually feel better about than someone like a Justin Dean, right? So what does this mean for Milo Conforto? I mean, it'll be interesting because if he does get placed on the IL, this opens up more playing time for him because Kim's not back, Edman isn't back, Muncy isn't back. But you do have Kike back, and Freeland is still on the roster, and Freeland has started to show that he can hit at this level. I was talking to him before the game, and you mentioned Coors Field, and that getting Alex Call right, you would think that was his, like, come to Jesus, going to Coors, getting some extra base hits. Ever since then, like, he's been slugging. So no one's really talking about Alex Freeland. They just assume that, okay, when the time comes, just going to option him. but the bat is there's a world where his bat at this point in the season could be better than what Kim's bat is.
Well, we give him credit for scoring the only runs with those homers in San Diego on Friday and Saturday. But let's just look at the math here, right? And I want to hear from you guys in the comment section right now, because these are conversations going on in the Dodgers front office. These are conversations going on here in the press box amongst the Dodgers journalists. And I'm sure, hopefully, there's conversations going on at home and here at the stadium.
There's so many conversations.
There's a lot of conversations.
A lot of talking out here.
It's all on the same topic, right? We got Kim currently on a rehab assignment with AAA OKC Comets. The Comet with the Comets. He's been playing in left field. His first rehab start was in left field. That tells me they're thinking Conforto's days are numbered, and if Kim can play us some left field when he comes back up, in addition to second base, some infield, that would be his role. He played short today, I know. I don't think that's going to be a position he plays up here when he calls up. He said on his FaceTime with V of BTS last night, he would be back by this weekend, early next week on the beginning of the road trip at the latest. So I'm going to go off Kim's word, and I think even though Dave Roberts said, Muncy might come back before Kim, I'm going to go with Kim's word and say he could come back, especially if Alec Call is an IL stint.
I want to tweet that out. Be like, Haesung Kim says that he could be back next week. Source, Haesung Kim in FaceTime with BTS's Superstar V.
I think that gets like 50,000 likes.
Yeah, that would.
1 second.
So is V like a baseball newsbreaker now? Like,
he should be.
Yeah, he could be. He could be.
So I think Kim comes up first, right? I think that move now could be Alex Call IL. Let's say no IL for Alex Call, guys. Let's just try to do the math in our head, okay? So what's the move for Kim coming up? My guess is Justin Dean goes down. Why do I think it's Justin Dean? Because Justin Dean right now is just a pinch runner off the bench. Haesung Kim probably becomes your fastest guy on the team once he's called up. He's now your pinch runner off the bench if you need him with some spot starts, right? And he's the guy they're hoping. He played a little bit of left field in KBO in Korea. Maybe he could do that at this level. I don't know. I'm a little worried about it. Conforto made a nice leaping catch at the wall last night, so his defense is a little bit plus. And then I thought Andy Paz might have been able to catch that home run ball by Austin Hayes earlier. Maybe if Conforto's out there, he leaps up and catches it, tipped off the top of the wall. I don't know if you guys saw that. It felt like if Paz timed his jump right, he catches that. Anyway, my point is Kim's next. Then right behind him is Muncy. So now you got to think of, okay, what's your move when Muncy comes up, right? My guess is, to your point, that's the end of Alex Freeland, right? I know you want to see he hit a couple home runs in San Diego. He's still batting less than 2 here. They need to see where they've been playing him. They've been playing him at third base now that Buddy Kennedy's gone. Thank God Buddy Kennedy's gone. But that's Muncy's role. I don't see where Freeland would go at that point, especially if Kim is up. You want to split Kim with Rojas at second. So I think Freeland's time is done there. And then the last domino to fall is Tommy Edman. When Tommy Edman comes back, you don't have enough roster spots, right? Someone has to go at that point. Earlier in the year, it was Kim. They had injuries to be able to move guys. That's the big one for me. When Edman comes back, let's call it mid-September, what is the move? That might be the day that we see Michael Conforto has played his last with the Dodgers. Maybe Alex Call is the guy who gets bumped. I don't know. And there's time to figure it out and more injuries that could be had, but that's going to be a big question for the Dodgers once they are fully healthy. What is the roster moves for each guy? And that's one thing I'm wondering too, especially with 4 guys who play different positions coming up and not enough spots for them soon.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've kind of talked about this. I mean, the Dean's an obvious one, right? That's guaranteed. And then you look at Freeland, I think he would have to absolutely go nuclear for him to keep his spot, right? And most likely he will not. And they've looked at that as, okay, you do have an expanded roster at some point, so you can keep an extra guy. He could be that guy potentially. Or you could give an extended run to almost have a competition for that last spot. And I think ultimately it's going to come down to Kim versus Conforto. And I think that if it were the Dodgers right now, there's still a lot of questions about Haesung Kim and how that shoulder is responding. Have teams adjusted to him? Will he adjust back? Can he hit big league pitching Or is he just a pinch runner off the bench? Because
before he got hurt with that shoulder injury, his numbers were plummeting, and
they were. And
I don't know if it was all attributed to the shoulder.
It wasn't.
To me, it looked like
there was like a 5-game stretch after the shoulder where
it looked like the league had adjusted to him, and he hadn't been able to adjust back yet. That's something you need to learn as a rookie in this league. Everyone learns it. And Dalton Rushing is learning it, right? So I think Kim, I don't think Kim is necessarily the answer offensively either. And I think because of that, Michael Conforto there's an old Vin Scully quote. Tell me if you guys remember it out there, right? He was saying that Lasorda said a guy was day to day. And he said, aren't we all? Remember that quote?
Yeah.
And I love that quote. Aren't we all day to day? I know I am. I really think Michael Conforto with this team, as far as being on the roster, is day to day. Alex Call's injury might have bought him another day. His success at the plate or his leaping catch and left, another day. But I think Michael Conforto's days are ultimately numbered on the Dodgers, especially if he continues to produce at where he's been for 133 games this season.
Well, there's also the fact, too, Alex Call does have 2 option years remaining. He's under team control for multiple seasons. If he has anything lingering, if this thing turns out to be worse than they expected, there's also that. But the truth is that there's a surplus of outfielders now.
I'm with Ronnie here. We want to see Ryan Ward get called up. I've been calling for this for weeks. When you've had these injuries, to me, this is the time to give him some run, if ever, right? Because I feel like the chances of that happening now are just slimmer. The more time goes on, the more guys get healthy, the more you get Muncy back, Kim back, all these things. The chances of actually seeing what Ryan Ward is slimmer. And I actually reached out to sources a few weeks ago, probably like the last time we were on this show. They're actually digging into Ryan Ward now more than they ever have before all season with Conforto's struggles going on. So they're looking into him too. I don't think they were ready to pull the trigger yet. And I just feel like now with 29 games left, his chance of coming up is probably gone, but I feel like they missed a 2-week window there.
I actually talked to a coach today, a Dodgers coach today on the field about Ryan Ward, and I asked him about, do you hear these echoes? Do you hear people demanding, okay, the offense is bad, there's a guy down there that's raking, let's give him an opportunity. And the issue with Ryan Ward is essentially he really is kind of a first baseman. I mean, when you kind of look at it, and as far as where he could play at this level defensively.
He's atrocious, yeah.
And then you look at the outfield spot. I mean, what was the talk last week, right? It was Teo lost a game in Colorado with his defense. It was Michael Conforto being a below-average defender. The Dodgers' corner outfielders collectively better in the last week, but have been league worst in that mix. So you bring up a Ryan Ward, he would have to absolutely be an incredible bat right out of the gates to start his big league career when he wasn't a part of the plans. Could it happen? Yes. It would be a great story, no doubt about it. But the truth of the matter is every single one of these guys that have come up, if they've had success at the beginning, they've tailed off. If they've tailed off, they've started to have some success. A guy like Andy Paz, for example, got out to a hot start last season, then fell off. I mean, it's unrealistic look at how Dalton Rushing was hitting. Look at how all these guys were raking down there and they come up, and you're ultimately going to run into some challenges because hitting big league pitching is very difficult. What Alex Freeland told me today, I was like, hey, I asked him about it. Guys like Ryan Ward and having success. I mean, what is the likelihood that they can just come up and try to replicate that level of success consistently at this level? And one thing he told me was the biggest difference, there's not many mistakes. And when you're raking down there, you are punishing mistakes, and you might get a couple chances a game, but then it's the big leagues, man. It's very different. So I don't think that Ryan Ward really solves this team's problems if they have any. Let's be honest. This team is going to have success or they're going to fail depending on how, there we go. George says the only thing that, only ring that Machado will get is ringworm. Well, good thing he has a good friend, his teammate, go to his locker and get some ringworm cream. Yeah, we have the best chat, just so you know.
I love this chat.
Call will be fine. It's from AU Potter. Yeah, it's gonna be Doc's call tomorrow to see if he plays with. Let's hear from Dave. We'll get back to you guys. Keep firing away in the chat. We are live at Dodger Stadium here with my man.
Before you go to Dave real quick, the time to have brought up Ryan Ward, to your point just now, was when they grabbed Buddy Kennedy and then DFA'd one of those relief pitchers down in the minor leagues. Buddy Kennedy got 7 games on this team, guys. I think was batting 0.59, had 2 hits that entire time. It seemed like they were starting him every game. I didn't understand it. They started him a couple of those games in San Diego. To me, play Alex Freeland at third, call Ryan Ward up there, and just see, right? At the end of the day, what we all know is you need offensive production from left field. They haven't had it at the position all year long. This guy's hitting over 300, something like 30 home runs with AAA. Probably going to be the PCL player of the year there offensively. Yes, below average defender, liability maybe in left field, but they kind of have that all over the field. Just see if he can produce. That was the only chance you had, right? The only way to know is to know. Yes, most guys, Dalton Rushing, Alex Freeland, Buddy Kid, these guys come up and they struggle initially right off the bat. Takes them a while. Or some guys catch fire, right? Will Smith came up and hit a walk-off home run in his first game. Just that would have been the little small runway, 7 games, to see what Ryan Ward can do. I feel like that train has passed now. I feel like they're going to start to get healthy, and I don't think we're going to see him. But I would have liked to see, because they need some production from there. It may end up being the ultimate move we thought about. It may end up being, once Tommy Edman is back, if his ankle is right, he goes to center, Teo goes to left, and you can put Pages in right.
Ronnie says D-Mac is wrong for spinning anything positive on Michael Conforto. I'm not spinning anything positive on Michael Conforto. I'm just telling you how this organization goes about their process, and they're not going to make a rash decision, move off of him when the options aren't back. I think that if I had to guess right now, I like that one, Lord of the Ringless for the Padres and Mariners. If I had to guess right now, I would say that Michael Conforto ultimately doesn't stick on this team in the long run, and they've already kind of planted the seeds for that in the last week by saying they need more production in the outfield. They need other guys playing that down the minor league level, with Kim and Kike getting some reps in left field. I think that's ultimately what's going to happen, but it's interesting because they also don't look at stats like we do. I was talking to someone about this too. Like, they don't look at, he had this batting average for this long, right? Look at Eddie Rosario in the NLCS a couple years ago. No one would have believed that, right? Baseball is the weirdest sport where if the expected numbers say that something's going to happen, the longer you give that guy a chance to perform, you'll have some positive regression to the mean, and you'll start to get those results. Will that happen with Michael Conforto? Probably not at this point, but that is the thought process from this team. There's a reason why they didn't move off him, right? They moved off of Chris Taylor and Austin Barnes because there was nothing that said that there was even a chance that they would turn things around and help this team. With Michael Conforto, there is signs of life every now and then that say, okay, this guy could be a positive bat. Conforto versus Buddy Kennedy, right? Conforto versus some other guys that we've seen, like a Conforto versus Justin Dean. Right now, the options aren't there. Pretty soon they will be when everyone gets back, but let's hear from Dave Robertson. We'll get back to your chat, guys, here on the Dodgers Nation Postgame Show. Here we go. Here's Dave Roberts, and give a little update on Alex Call. Talked about the win. And he also talked a little bit about Alex Vesia, who we'll get into next.
I'm sorry.
Tommy says D-Mac hurt his back reaching for a torta. I was not reaching for a torta, okay? And I love me a big, juicy torta. It's one of my favorite things to eat.
He was reaching for a hot dog, guys. I got him on camera.
Oh, come on.
Reaching for a hot dog.
All right, let's go to Doc. We're going to Doc.
First time all year on regular rest, or 4 days rest. So we knew we were asking a lot of him. And he just competed like he always does. And yeah, you could see early on that he just didn't have his best stuff. But he found a way to use all of his pitches, and he got really creative with a lot more splits and curveballs and arm side, and just kind of doing different things to kind of get him off the scent. And 6 strikeouts, no walks, efficient, and got us through 5. And for me, that was huge. And I felt we pushed him enough tonight.
With just kind of how we've now seen 3 consecutive games where it's been a full team effort, is this when you talked about the consistency that you've been wanting to see? Are you seeing that right now from this group?
Yeah, I am. It's been really fun to watch our guys play to the level that they're capable of. And I just say that as far as kind of the intent of energy and compete. Martinez has had our number for years, and so for us to kind of put some numbers on the board against him was huge. And we had a couple big at-bats off the bench. Miggy Rowe had a big double, but we just took good at-bats. And the bullpen came in and did their job. So really, I thought a complete game. And, tomorrow, Lodolo's, this guy is very underrated, got a really good arm. So we got our work cut out tomorrow. But I like where we're playing. I like where we're at right now.
Do you see Clayton get more comfortable when he does have to go a little more off script or start kind of mixing up the way he pitches, especially on nights like tonight? It's got to go that way.
I do. I've seen growth in that sense. I think that, when you've had the track record that he has and you can sort of go to your strengths all the time and you seem to always find success doing it that way. Just in the last couple of years, he's been more open to doing different things, and I commend him for that. And I think in that fourth inning, you could see he was it didn't matter what Will was putting down. He felt like he could throw anything, and that's something that was really rare and really cool to see.
Is that swing from Will just closer to what you guys saw most of the season before this little stretch here?
Yeah, that was something that, when he gets a fastball close to him and he can drive it out to right center field, he's right. And, the last couple of weeks he's been off a little bit, missing pitches, but that was a really, really good swing. So hopefully that gets him, reset, but he's still working hard trying to figure some things out with this swing.
You've been pretty mindful of Clayton's workload this year recently. Do you think in past years he would have been receptive to having these kind of lower pitch counts and inning totals?
Oh, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. But I think that, Father Time gets everyone, and I think that he's smart enough to understand, how many bullets he has, and, you want to be good. And so I think that, he and I have a great relationship, and we understand, what's needed of him and when to push him, when it's time to kind of pull the plug and get him ready for the next one. And I think, we're in a good rhythm, and I think he's feeling really good, his body, and he's pitching his tail off. So, but yeah, in years past, yeah, that wouldn't have went over well.
Dave, Alex Call was removed from the game after coming home on that Rojas double. Just kind of what happened there?
Something happened with his, I think it was his lower back. And so he says that he's played through worse, but, my hope was to get him in there tomorrow. So I wanted to get him out of the game, get Dean in there, and we'll see how he kind of responds to treatment tomorrow. But I don't think it's too concerning.
As he was saying, he's hopeful it's just going to be the 2 weeks with them. Is that kind of how you guys are looking at it?
Yeah, I think so. If we got to backdate a few days, and yeah, I don't think it should be too long. And he's been obviously a leverage guy for us, last few years. So we got to make sure we get him right for the stretch run.
Is there a benefit, especially how long it takes just giving
There was Dave Roberts. We got some the comments went to the silver. So what show the picture? Pick on a silver surfer glaze. Those are hot dogs. So basically, they give out these hot dogs, and Michael said that he was hungry, so I went and got him a couple. Because you want to crush some,
But look, I posted a story on NBC LA yesterday, which we talked about on this show. The Dodgers fans lead this viral 999 challenge: 9 hot dogs, 9 beers, and 9 innings. I think, and I want to hear from you guys, we can see the chat right here. I think Doug needs to do this in the press box. He'll probably have to do it with Coke Zero and not beers. But here's what it would look like, right? This is Doug doing the 999 challenge. I will even do it with you. I'll get some veggie dogs and I'll do it with you. But I think you guys want to see Dougie Mac right here, D-Mac, do the 999 challenge in the press box, live on a stream, and then do a shoey for your last drink for the 9th.
Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted.
All right, let's do it.
But we can't do it in here, man. Like, I would have to purchase a ticket, come as a fan, which I've not done in a while.
It's like dropping a G. We have to drop a G to get $9, 18 hot dogs, 18 beers?
Dodgers PR is going to want me, like, eating. First of all, what makes the 999 challenge.
They don't have to know. They don't.
But what makes it okay?
They don't have to know.
What makes the 999 challenge, like, part of the challenge is you're drinking beer, which kind of like makes you intoxicated. Which kind of like, I don't know, 9 beers for Doug McKain, not too crazy, but I mean it would add up, especially also with the pitch clock. Like pre-pitch clock, with Baez out there, with Javier Baez out there, maybe buy me some more time?
I don't know if it's going to happen the rest of the season, but if there was a Dodgers bullpen game looming, that would be the day, right?
That would.
You know it's going to go a
Good
long
point.
game, probably 3 hours plus, a lot of pitching changes. That would be the time to do it. But show us in the comments, do you want to see Doug and I do the 999 challenge?
I think we should switch it up. You'll do the 9 veggie dogs. I'll eat 9 tortas. That's my favorite thing. That's my favorite thing. A big juicy torta. I mean, you can bring them to the stadium. Guacamole.
I've seen the chat
cheese.
saying that. There you go.
Carne asada.
Yeah, I've seen the chat talking about it.
Yeah. So let's get to
big torta guy, T-Mac.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
But,
okay, wait.
Let's get to the thing that fans really want to know, guys, and I know you all want to know this. Alex Vesia, right? Arguably our best relief pitcher throughout the entire course of the season, the most consistent relief pitcher, struggling as of late. Right oblique, you hear right oblique, you hear weeks, not days.
Weeks,
sometimes
absolutely.
months if you're Max Muncy in the 2024 season, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Thanks to that chiropractor who got him right? Alex Vesia, you got him? You're going to show that clip at some point?
Yeah, let's go to Alex Vesia. Mike checked in with him here, and we'll talk about, is this something that's been ailing him? Is this something where they're trying to give him a breather? They really don't need to. He has carried this bullpen all season long. He's been the mark. Absolutely, he's been the mark of durability for this team. And
I've seen a lot of guys, Doug, say that they want to see the passion, the fire. Right? They talked about it when they lost to the Padres in 2023 in the NLDS. We don't have the passion and fire they do. Alex Vesia is the one guy on this team who you cannot say doesn't have the passion and fire. I've never seen someone so excited to get a strikeout when he comes out of the pen of relief. This guy crushes. This is a fact. 3 Red Bulls before he comes in out of relief. And I'm sure if you look at Anthony Banda's coffee orders, he talked about in a podcast, he's probably pounding coffee all day. But before he comes into the game, pounds 3 Red Bulls. So he's really, really fired up when he goes out there. But before you play the clip, felt it playing catch. Not on the mound on the 21st of August when he appeared in Coors Field. He would have been ready to go if called upon in San Diego over the weekend. They didn't really have a lead or a close game. They were trailing or ahead. So just a little minor thing he felt. Not a strain as far as we know, just a little tightness. Not the same thing, but is on the same side. That knocked him out of the postseason. What was it, after round 1 last year? He missed a couple rounds of the playoffs before coming back, obviously, for the World Series. So that's the situation with Vesia. You can hear it from his mouth, but it sounds like a chance for him to rest, reset, before we get ready for the stretch run.
All right, let's go to it. Let's hear from Alex Vesia, then we'll talk about what this bullpen is going to do moving forward and the guys that they could get back and what that means and how it will shape up.
Alex, when I spoke to Dave ahead of the game, he said that just when it comes to this oblique strain, it's a pretty low concern level. How are you feeling right now? And just does it seem like this is something that the 15-day IL stint will be just kind of more than enough for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'd felt it a couple days ago, and it was in catch play, so it just felt tight. There was no pull or grab or anything that made me concerned. I think as Doc and then all of our trainers and stuff, we're all on the same page of just making sure that we're just going to knock it out now, make sure it doesn't get worse. There's no need to push it. I'm very confident that I can resume throwing in my normal routine. So yeah, we'll just take it one day at a time, and I believe the 15 days will be good to go.
This is oblique as during the playoffs last year?
It's the same side, different area, so it's not like the exact same muscle, the exact same one, but we're going to go about it pretty much the exact same way that we did it last year, except this time it's much less. It just feels like a tight muscle, so it's kind of hard to explain, but I wanted to speak up now rather than try to overdo it and then jeopardize later down the line.
As you guys were talking about this, do you look at it at all as just also a way to get a little bit of a breather before you get down the stretch here, which is how much you've had to pitch this year?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it like that as well. I think the rest is a good thing, but at the same time, there is, I am. It's not like I'm trying to get more rest, right? I was fighting them back and forth on staying, but overall, I do believe it's the right decision.
They did it today. Would you have been available in San Diego if called upon?
I mean, yeah, I told him that I felt good to pitch. So that was, their decision and whatnot. So, yeah, we were all on the same page.
So there you hear the man right there, Alex Vesia, kind of downplaying the severity of it. The thing that stands out to me is him saying that he was trying to pitch during the weekend series against the Padres. There was that moment where he told Dave Roberts, you want to go back out there, win an inning and 2/3 on the Sunday game the previous week. I personally think that this is a combination of a guy that has seen his stuff not play as well as it has for the majority of the season. The Dodgers recognizing that. I don't think it's a phantom IL per se, but I think that there's something, right? And when you pitched as much as he has, you can always find something, to the point where Kopech's coming back, Tanner Scott's back, Kirby Yates is back. It's really the right time to kind of send him to the shop, get checked out a little bit, and then come back healthy, because they're going to lean on him heavily during the postseason. I see people down below in the comments saying that Red Bulls are soft and they should be drinking 4 Locos. Some people are saying he drinks too many Red Bulls. Here's a fun fact. Michael. You would have to drink 149 Red Bulls to die of caffeine overdose. So, I mean, three's not that much.
All right.
Someone said that.
Someone said his poor heart. I can see 3 of them each game. He comes in a lot.
He's got that heart, baby.
He needs this rest for his heart. But yes, doesn't sound too serious. I will say one thing. This team, and I've written about this in the entire decade of the Andrew Friedman era, they are so about analytics. They have medical tests and devices to see when a player, and they know their whole history, and everything, as you see in the pitching side of things, is monitored, it's filmed, it's checked. They know when a guy's stuff is maybe tinkering down, maybe when an injury might be flaring up. And so they absolutely just do cocaine out there.
Nico Suave.
Right? You know, Walker Buehler would do the smelling salts like they do on NFL sidelines that got banned, but then not banned. So anyway, the point is they got technology for these guys that if anything is flaring up, and there's a chance that this could become a bigger injury if they push through it. So some of these guys saying, take a painkiller and go out there and keep shoving. They put these guys on the IL to get them rest up, because all they care about is October. Ross Stripling told me once, he was having a great season. First half of the season, his stuff started tinkering down. Suddenly, phantom IL, go back to Arizona, take a few weeks off, and then get back for the stretch run. I think this is a rest for Alex Vesia. But I will say to this case, not phantom IL. He had a big old red mark on his right oblique side.
That's
so
like
he was clearly getting treatment on it. So something real.
Okay, we got a super chat. Got to hit that. All bets are off.
Okay,
$4.99. This will go towards the $9.99 challenge fund.
Andy
Simply
Paz,
Rojas, $4.99. D-Mac and Michael, can we talk about Andy Paz's base running errors? Need to be addressed before the postseason? No. I've actually talked to...
Shout out to Simply Rosie.
Yeah, Simply Rosie. She's always rocking with us. She's a day one. Always rocking with us. Appreciate Simply Rosie. And yes, I mean, he has made base running blunders. I think there has to be a level of communication with him to where you kind of put him in those situations, and he's not overrunning a base. He's not going first there when he should. He's not getting sent home when he should. And look, a lot of that, unfortunately, if you're not a great instinctive base runner, it's almost like you have to make those mistakes. Like, he's ran himself out of some games this year, even early on the season.
I mean, so is Shohei Ohtani, though. I'm assuming Rosie's talking about his attempted steal of second base early in the game. He gets thrown out. Maybe look for a review. He wanted them to review it. I was talking in the press box. Andy Paz is not the fleetest of foot. I don't know if you want him running there, but also it had to be a perfect throw to get him out, and it was a perfect throw. Even that thing could have been reviewed, and I think you would have seen where the ball landed in De La Cruz's glove was the only reason he was called out. Otherwise, the tag wasn't there. So I think he had a tell on the pitcher. He had a tell on Martinez in this game. He took a risk, took a jump, and it backfired. But there's some other base running blunders that not just Paz, but this entire team has made. And it goes back to what I was saying. If you just play fundamental baseball out here when it comes to defense and base running and those things, let the starting pitching do what they do. This is something we can talk about, it because Doug was talking about the Brewers and the Phillies and getting close. look at the starting rotations for every potential postseason team of the 6 that's available. And I feel like it's safe to say, even though the Reds have a long shot of making the wild card, that the postseason 6 teams is set. The order of where they will not be decided for another month. But those 6 teams we see right now, Brewers, Cubs, Phillies, Mets, Dodgers, Padres, those are the 6 teams I think you're going to see in the postseason. Look at their starting rotation, especially with Zach Wheeler out in Philadelphia. I know we think the Brewers rotation is nasty, and it is. That's one I don't want to face, especially in a short series. But if this is a longer series, 7-game series, I take the Dodgers starting rotation and maybe their 5th and 6th guy over most of the guys you're going to see out there. Let that starting rotation do what they do. The bullpen needs to be a little bit more consistent. The offense needs to be consistent. Looks like Mookie Betts has finally turned it around. You always ask me where I'm at with him on a scale of 1 to 10. Well, I've now seen a 19-game sample size. I'm not worried about Mookie anymore. It doesn't look like... I think he was worried too much about his bat speed. He slowed the swing down, so you might not see as much slug there, but he's hitting line drives all over the field. That's a good sign to see.
For sure. And yeah, I mean, just kind of looking it up, Andy Paz 13 stolen bases this year in 20 attempts. So that's a 65% stolen base percentage. You want to be at 75% or more to be considered above average from that standpoint. But stealing a base and getting caught doesn't mean you're a bad base runner, right?
Oh, she was talking about getting caught at third.
Yeah, and then the situation so the situation that she's talking about where he gets caught in third in that situation.
Yep. And it would have been another run. It would have
led to another run. So that's like...
Yeah, you can't do those things. She's right about that.
There's this toxic duo, and it's brewing between Andy Paz and base running. And we've seen him be a guy that's toolsy, right? And you use the word toolsy, buzzword among scouts and baseball people. That just means a guy can throw, he can catch, he can hit, and kind of one of the tools that has potential to have his base running. Like, he has speed, but I mean, for him, it's just decisions. And I think for him, it just needs to be, I think there's like film work to be done, right? I think there's like scenario work to be done. I mean, like when guys are doing batting practice and guys are doing work in the cage and guys are taking ground balls and fly balls, I think for him, you almost have to, I don't want to say like dumb it down a little bit, but kind of throw him into situations where, yeah, there's a guy that you're on first, right? And a guy's at the plate and he hits one of the gap. Do you kind of throw him into that situation? And Jose, D-Mac, you're welcome to have my Mexican carne asada.
Hey, an invite to the asada amongst Latinos, I can tell you, that's it doesn't get better than that.
I love it. I have a lot of friends, a lot of Mexican friends that have me their carne asada. This is my favorite food. It's my favorite thing to eat.
Andy Paz, guys, is always invited to the asada, all right? He is always invited. But as Rosie mentioned, you got to know your role on this team, right? And Andy Paz's role on this team is to provide above average defense right now in center field. That might change if he goes to one of the corner outfield positions later on. He switched to left today, and I thought he maybe could have made a play on that Austin Hayes home run ball. It's not necessarily to steal bases. It's not necessarily to take an extra bag. We don't see him as Ohtani out there or Mookie Betts with some of the wheels or, Haesung Kim or some of the guys. He's not a speed guy on this team. So that's another thing. Like, don't play outside your role. Even Will Smith right now, who was struggling at the plate, good to see him hit an opposite field home run tonight and get back on track. By the way, that was his first home run at Dodger Stadium, guys, since the 4th of July. It was been that long since he's homered here at the Ravine. Anyway, Will Smith, through that time, through this struggling at the plate, watching him go from the best hitter in the National League batting average to now 4th and below 300, he has still known his role, and the most important part of that is being a catcher, calling a good game, getting the starting pitchers through. If you looked at that Kershaw clip Doug D-Mac played earlier, Kershaw talked about how after that first inning where he gave up that run and that double to Steer, Smith just called different pitches, threw them off balance, surprised them, changed their whole strategy and approach. So that's an example, guys, of where guys know their roles, and that's Will Smith's role. Even when he's not playing like the cleanup hitter on this team, he had been for most of the season. He knows his role is to be a good game caller and catch a good game and get the starting pitchers in the bullpen through 27 outs. Paz needs to know his role on this team is not to be the aggressive guy on the base paths. It's not the guy to go first to third, if it's a close play. It's a guy to hit slug, play above average defense in the outfield, and provide that home run, that moment that everyone's looking for.
Yeah, in that situation, it's a situation where he gets that single. It's a 3-1 game, and then Kike comes up later, gets the single. You just don't want to run yourself out of innings. You don't want to run yourself out of opportunities. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to kind of make a list of kind of different things that each of these players need to improve upon, that's certainly it. We got to George says D-Mac irons his boxers. What are those? I mean, Captain Commando, all now is playing. All right, guys, biggest takeaway tonight, Michael.
Biggest takeaway of the game. You go first. Sorry.
My biggest takeaway is that this team is, I think, finding a really good balance in they're getting whole and they're not chasing slug, but they're getting offense when they need to. And you are seeing multiple games now with 5 or more runs. And that just has not been the case. I think my biggest takeaway is the Freddie home run, the Dalton Rushing home run. They are living off of that, I think, turning of the corner moment that they had in San Diego, salvaging that series and then getting back into first place, knowing that talent-wise, this Dodgers team always knows that they have an advantage. Clayton Kershaw said a couple weeks ago that we know that at some point our talent is going to get us through, and you're starting to see when this team is not pressing, when they're not giving away at bats, they're competing throughout an entire game at the plate, and you're making pitchers throw pitches that they can do damage to, that good things are ultimately going to happen. Pages has gone hot this week. Miguel Rojas has continued to hit. Mookie still hitting. Shohei had a hit tonight. I think collectively you're just not seeing the droughts right now. You're not seeing the droughts from the offense. And the pitching has been fantastic of late, that we're, for the first time, my biggest takeaway is we're seeing multiple games in a row. We haven't seen a 3-game winning streak in a long time. Multiple games in a row where they're having complete team wins, offense, pitching, defense. And I think this team, the focus, the concentration level, I think that it's starting to feel like the postseason for these guys. They know what's at stake, and I think that this team is gearing up for a big run. So I think that that's my biggest takeaway. We're seeing a complete Dodger win. When they won against the Padres last week, they're running out of innings, and Jackson Merrill's a drop. They're winning because of their play, not because the other team isn't playing up to their standard.
So there was a lot of takeaways in that.
I know. I mean,
long-winded answer.
I'm high off those.
Takeaway,
I'm high off the silver.
Because you've set the precedent of can't just be one takeaway. I'm going to say a few takeaways that I noticed today as well. First of all, and this is not just from tonight because you went back to that Padres series. Fans, you guys have been in my DM since that 9-game lead the Dodgers had in the NL West started shrinking, smaller than Beyonce's jumpsuit. And what I would say is that a tight playoff race, right now it's still just 1 game, is a good thing for these Dodgers. Even Mookie Betts and Will Smith and Kershaw even recently, they all said it themselves. To not have a big lead going into September is going to help them. It's going to get them to focus, to buckle down. Dave Roberts said it. You're going to see a new kind of energy around this team. Guys are coming back. They not only want to win the division, they want to repeat. And so keeping them focused with San Diego in their rear view, and sometimes they're in San Diego's rear view, I think is going to help this team. And so they took a possibility of going down 2 games in San Diego, fighting back, adding extra runs, Ohtani dapping up a heckler, which was great, I think, to show, these guys are not done. That helps them go into this series because instead of being down 2, you're tied. Now you're at home against a team also fighting for the playoffs. Keep that focus, and it's carrying over. And we're seeing this next stretch of 29 games where every game is kind of a little playoff game, right? Because you want to win the division. You want to be in the race. Is going to help this team. Now individual takeaways. Will Smith going oppo for a home run. Good to see. He's been struggling at the plate lately. Tanner Scott, who, even though he was recalled in San Diego, we hadn't seen him appear in a game. He got a nice 3-run cushion, still gets a save, gave up a hit, but it's nice to see him come in a game that has enough of a cushion where he's not going to be too nervous by the moment and when his first action back. So he got a 3-run lead, gets the save. Let's build Tanner Scott's confidence up so it's peak high by the time we roll into October. Also, Clayton Kershaw, man. The guy is an ageless wonder.
Yeah, it's really
incredible. He can still do it. We were talking here. He's only 11 shy of the all-time wins record of Don Sutton at 233. 12 shy. He's got 221 now. God, I want to see him come back next year. I want to see Kershaw be the top of the Dodgers win list amongst pitchers in franchise history. And if anything, what we saw in the month of August, this guy can still do it. And those are my takeaways for the night. That's about it.
I love it. Great stuff. Someone says, Joseph says, D-Mac is sweating from standing so long. No, I'm not sweating from that. I'm sweating because it's not the heat.
These are very hot fluorescent
It's the
lights
humidity that will kill you. And it's hot, and the Dodgers, they're heating up. First place, 3 games in a row. Back tomorrow with Shohei Ohtani in the mound of 5:40 early start on another Shohei Ohtani bobblehead night. So if you come to the game, might as well show up now because it's going to be another big night at Dodger Stadium. But go follow my man Michael Duarte on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, and go read his stuff at NBC Los Angeles. He'll give the links down below in the comments section. But I saw that Simply Rosie, Luxie mentioned the Dodgers Nation podcast.
Shout out to Lux.
I was talking to Mookie a little bit about
watching your interview with the heckler in San Diego.
Good stuff.
Good job.
Thanks again, guys. As always, rocking with us. Late night action here. We'll be back later tomorrow for Dodgers Dugout.
The Dodgers
Live.
could be the first team to sweep the Reds all season. Let's get it done.
Cannot wait, but that's going to do it. Until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and we are out.
Start the party, Los Angeles! Your Dodgers have won the World Series!
And when the upcoming winter gives way to spring, rest assured, once again, it will be time for Dodger baseball.